How much torture can one guy's voice stand? First, it was a sinus infection, then COVID. I just can't catch a break. We've got Jonny Hetherington from Art of Dying on the show. And in the words of Art of Dying, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. So we better do this before my voice gives out again.
Blabber Brains.
And welcome to another episode of Blabber Brains Show. Yes, my throat is still hoarse, but not from the sinus. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it. Anyways, Michael Kadrie here, the big M over there. Oh, that side over there. And as you can see, we've already got our special guest, Jonny Hetherington, queued up on our first segment of the show. So let's give him a big round of applause.
Yeah. Showering with applause.
Vocalist extraordinaire and songwriter and singer of Art of Dying and entrepreneur and fellow Canadian to the north. Thanks for coming on our show, Jonny. You and I have got a kind of a long, weird history together that since we're short of time, we won't get into right now, but we have a great connection. And, you're on our show right now because, you are one of the hardest working guys in rock that I know. And I just wanted to get you on the show here. Art of Dying has come such a long way since I first met you back in 2012. And you guys have really been busting ass and gaining a good fan base. And so congratulations for all that. And, we'll get into your entrepreneurship too, also while we're talking here. I know we're kind of short on time today, which is why we only have one segment. But I want to dig back into the past of Art of Dying. And I'm sure that, you guys, where did it start? Did it start in a basement, in a garage, on the streets? Like what is the background of how you guys got together?
You nailed it on the streets there, number 3. So I was playing guitar on a street corner in Vancouver. Just trying to get better at playing and singing together. And some guys came by and heard my voice, heard me singing, and invited me out to rehearsal. And one of those guys was Greg Bradley, one of the founders of Art of Dying. So we just kind of took that meeting and rolled with it, got into the rehearsal space and started jamming away at songs. And there's a great radio station in Vancouver called CFOX, and they basically put on a contest. We'd go and enter that, and one of the winners of that. So it just kind of helped us progress. And there was always something to kind of keep us going. Obviously the music was the main thing keeping us going and the message, but we had little reasons to celebrate every few months on something we were doing, whether it was just a small gig or it was good times. But our rehearsal space was on the 3rd floor of a walk up. So we were like, we're those guys like 3 a.m. There's the Marshalls right there, carrying those Marshalls up the 3 floors. And, you're just so tired, but it's worth every second of it. Right. Cause this is what we want to do.
Wow. So what made you, at what point in time did you say, we're ready to take this beyond Canada? Let's get down to the States. Let's start playing down there. Was that a natural progression, or did you say, look, we've built up a big enough fan base here. There's not a whole lot more we can do here. Let's see where we can take this. What was the progression to get down here and start spreading music far and wide?
We made it a target right from the onset. We kind of said, let's not even focus on Canada. Like we loved being from Canada, but we'd seen so many friends, bands, succeed here and then not be able to go down the States. It just wouldn't translate. And we just said right out of the gates, we're like, you know what? Let's not even focus on Canada. We don't need to go out to the East Coast and play in Halifax, like as much as we love playing there now, but we didn't want to spend all of our, grocery money on touring Canada when we could try and get down to Seattle and try and get down to the States. So we made it a goal, and I remember clear as day, like, get signed to major record label US, and it was like, that's our goal. And
you achieved that.
True, so goals come true. Yeah. Dreams come true.
Well, they come true for those that work for them. I mean, long gone are the days that where people get discovered, right? and where bands were just flocking out to like LA and getting discovered out there. Like nowadays, you've got to bust your ass to get to where you're at and to get anybody to listen to your music. And since I wasn't there from the beginning, but I was kind of there from the beginning of your label days. In your first major release, and your music hit me like right off the bat. And, I remember you guys playing in Pittsburgh, and, I think it's just the music and yourself as a front man, you were just pulling everybody into the show. I think that's where you gain your fan base. It's not just from the music, it's the live experience of coming out and seeing the band. Cause you guys translate those vocals live, translate the music live. It's like a whole experience that you can listen to, with the CD or with the MP3s or whatever, and you get to see it live. You get the same thing.
That was the other thing on our dream board. There was pull everyone in, which honestly, like we didn't actually have that, but on my mental internal dream board, I mean, that's kind of always been the reason to want to sing. The reason to want to write songs was to have it translate and to have it come back, to have the audience kind of included in it. If you're just singing, like, look at me, I'm awesome, that's great. No, we were always about the connection. We've always been about the connection and having people feel the music, and then sticking around and chatting with people about it after, because I mean, that's the greatest reward is people coming up and telling their story and how the song changed their life,
Did you guys start out writing your own music, or were you also doing some covers and things like that? I'd be curious what you would have been playing in those early days.
Yeah, never covers, always original. We were really influenced by all the 90s bands like Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots and just the whole grunge movement. And that's when, I can't remember a time when being original and being emotional was more important. Like it was in the music. That's why I got into those bands anyway. It was just like, they were just wearing their hearts on their sleeves. Their emotions were just right there for you to witness and be a part of. And, you felt like you were included somehow. When Eddie Vedder sings, you feel like you're on a bit of a journey with him, So that became our thing too, was really like no covers. I mean, we pulled out the odd like Stone Temple Pilots song just for fun every now and then. Even back in the early days when we were playing songs, our first album's out, and we realized, well, no one's heard any of this yet, so we should probably throw in like, I don't know, Man in the Box or something. We got to play one song people have heard. But luckily, we were playing to pretty big audiences, and our label Warner Brothers was doing their job at radio. So, soon enough, people did know some of our songs. We were able to get back to all original.
Cool.
Yeah. Also the early days, I know that your first major release had a lot of recuts from the EP that you guys originally put out. How did that progress in the studio? Did that progress live? Because some of the songs are just slightly different than the original version, not a whole lot, but as far as like the production quality goes and, some extra, bigger sounds and stuff like that, was that something that progressed live, or was that working with the producer? How did that end up progressing?
Yeah, interestingly enough, part of our story was Dan Donegan from Disturbed and David Draymond kind of discovered us and took us under their wing and kind of guided us through that time. Even the signing at Warner Brothers was through their imprint label. So it was kind of everything we did, we kind of bounced off them. I remember, and even now I'll flip back to some of my notes from like 2010 when we were working on that album and stuff. And there's times when we didn't want to do any of the songs off the EP. The band was feeling like, we got fresh songs, man. We don't want to do that old EP. That came out in 2007. Why are we doing this? And Dan would settle us down and just say, guys, there's something about these songs. That's why we're getting involved. The world needs to hear these songs. Your indie album, you did a great job with it, but we want the whole world to hear these songs. So we really want you to stick with, Get Through This and Sorry, and some of those songs that were, well, not Sorry, actually, that wasn't on the original, but Inside It's Raining. A bunch of them got tweaked a bit. And we did that, under the guidance of Howard Benson, who he recorded half the album. And then Danny actually stepped in and produced the second half of the record. So it was kind of like this progression of working with two different producers, almost two versions of each of those songs, and bouncing that off our old original independent version of those songs. So we were sick of them.
Yeah, but the general public wasn't familiar with those songs, so you kind of gotta look at it from that point of view. And the other thing I wanted to ask, is the writing style, at least from that era, was it natural for you to just write that way, or was there like an intentional thing of we've got to be putting together songs that like the crowd gets involved with? Because a lot of those songs, they're sing-alongs, right? The crowd is singing along with the song because they're almost like meant for it. Now, whether that was like unintended or totally intended doesn't really matter. They're perfect songs and hooks for people to sing along to.
I love that it turned out that way, but it definitely wasn't planned. It was, most of those songs I wrote I worked at this crappy futon store in Vancouver, and I would bring my guitar to work. And when no one was in the store, I would just sit in the back and like get melodies and lyrics and ideas on a little tape recorder, and like Get Through This came in that store, and it came real quick. Like I wrote the whole thing in, I want to say, half an hour. It just popped out, and same with Raining, Inside It's Raining. It was just, I remember just sitting there struggling with that chorus. I think that was the one where a customer busted me on that, because I was like sitting in the back room, like, inside it's raining, and I was working on these melodies. It never lets up, and all of a sudden I like feel this presence. I turn on. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just playing guitar here while you're trying to shop here. And
he's got a great story now, though.
Right. Please don't tell me.
He's got a great story now. Not meeting you.
Will get me fired. So those songs were all written just trying to stay real true to who we are, who we were then. Die Trying came together super quick too, where Greg showed me the riff. He just showed me the dan, na 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 na, and I just we were out of rehearsal space. It was just the two of us, and I love playing drums. It's my guilty pleasure. I'm terrible, just absolutely terrible, but I love the energy. So I got behind the kit, and I'm just like Animal back there, just all hair and sticks, right? And so we're jamming 3/4, like bam, bam, and I'm just playing the drums and screaming, no mic. And it just came, the energy came from that experience. So I could see why it would translate, in front of a big audience, and they want to sing like, if it takes, bar, effort. It was so fun to kind of get involved with those lyrics, especially in those shots. It's fun.
Well, the other thing is, and again, there's been a lot of progression with Art of Dying over the years, and some of it seemed like it was experimental. It always had the core sound of Art of Dying, but a lot of the stuff, and I would even go back, and we'll talk about this coming up, some of the new stuff that you guys been teasing on social media, have the Art of Dying sound, but it sounds like you're experimenting with different things. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I don't know if we are, as much as it's just a progression, right? What I find super interesting is, so like if you look at a case study of a song like Get Through This or something like that, it's like something written in a futon store in 2007 that gets onto a record with Warner Brothers in 2010, that's released in 2012, and then it's released as the second single in maybe 2013, and then you're on stage like 8-9 years later playing this song that you love. Right. But it's just such an interesting progression of case study of a song. A song like the one we'll probably talk about soon. We have a new song called Let's Go. I wrote it in a hotel room in Las Vegas like 5 weeks ago.
Right.
So it's funny how you can write a song that's very true to you and it can stay true your whole time. But what the audience is hearing is 10 years ago, how you felt 10 years ago when something happened to me. Now, I think what's really interesting about the way technology's caught up and we can do things quicker is now I can write a song in a hotel room in Vegas and Tavis, and the band we can remotely do our parts and have it not only mixed, mastered, and ready for, consumption in as little as, I think this is the quickest one we've ever done, where we just wrote it, put it out 5 weeks later. It seems really like, I don't know if you can do it faster than that, but I find from the listener's point of view now, it's kind of like they can know exactly how we're feeling right now about something rather than 10 years ago. It's kind of cool.
I'm hearing some different sounds that I normally hear from when the teaser for Let's Go, and which is cool. But the song itself, at least the teaser portion that I've heard, it sounds, a lot of it just reminds me of it's just classic Art of Dying. It's a catchy song. It's got a good hook. It's got good riff. It's heavy. It's everything you want in a song, right?
Totally.
So
I think the biggest progression you're probably hearing now is Tavis and I have kind of taken over as the main writer production team. So you're hearing, and we know each other so well now that it's so many years. I haven't done the math, but it's, over a decade together of writing hundreds of songs that no one's ever heard, because they never made the record or whatever. But now we just know each other so well. I'll say, well, you almost don't even need to speak. It's like you do your parts and you go, that's perfect. Like he'll do a solo on a song, and I'll be like, 10 years ago I would have been like, oh, why don't you try something a little different, like maybe a bendy thing there that's not, like something like. Because we're just getting to know each other. Now, I just love his guitar playing so much that I know what he's going to do is perfect. And it's the same on vocals. Like I'll lay down my vocals all by myself, which is another kind of great thing. Like I've always loved working with producers because they push you and they get you to change things and try new things. But now I love just recording my own vocals by myself because it's almost like, I don't know if you do yoga. I don't do a lot of yoga, but I've done enough to know like that it's a personal thing. Like I don't go to a yoga class. I don't have a yoga instructor. And I think that it would just be weird having somebody, it's the same kind of analogy, right? Like you're doing your yoga, it's very personal. And if you had a producer there saying, don't do that, try that, flip it around. What are you doing? That sucks. Take a break. Go get lunch. Come back.
Right.
So obviously, I'm totally. It works both ways. You want that yoga instructor there to help you and get you better at what you're doing, right? But also the freedom of being by yourself and really being able to become personal with the performance without anyone else around is very, I love that now. So it's something Tavis and I are doing a lot of, where we're just got an idea, got a lyric, holy shit, this thing's coming together quick, isn't it? And then next thing you know, we're sending a couple files back and forth and we've got something out. So Let's Go is one of those tracks. I'm really excited about it.
Is that why you kind of got in this rhythm of something that a lot of other bands have been doing lately over the last few years, is doing these one-off singles rather than, full-length albums? Because like you said, you can get it to the public faster because you're not working on writing the whole album, recording the whole album, polishing the whole album before it gets out there. It's like you got an idea for a song, you perfect that song, and boom, the public has it. You find that to be better from a productive standpoint and from a keeping the fans engaged standpoint?
I love them both. Like I miss albums. When we did Armageddon, that full length record, we did it with a producer, Daver, our friend here in Vancouver, and him and I. It took a year, to get, which is normal. It took a year to get the songs done, get the production done. And then, you really play around with the artwork and the order in which the songs come on the record. You really like wake up in the middle of the night. No, number 3 needs to be down there. Number 7 needs to bump up. Like, these things that really stress you out when you're releasing a full album. I love that. And I love albums that are beautifully arranged. Like that used to be a credit, right? On an album, the arrangement. Yeah. It's just like somebody actually, or the order, it's like somebody ordered this album. It's important to, which song came first, which song came last, and how the story unfolded. But I love now, like you said, the ability to put out one song every time you're feeling like you want to or need to. It's more selfish. You're in the moment. This can be out soon rather than 2 years from now. So it's kind of it's a guilty pleasure to be able to release all the time, and we've taken full advantage of that. The last, the pandemic really kind of pushed us into it, where it was this idea of why don't we get busy instead of waiting for this thing to end? Let's just get busy and work on all these songs we have kicking around. And how should we release them? Like, do we want to do a record? No, let's everyone needs music. Let's get one out now, and we'll get another one out in a couple months. We'll get another one out in a couple months. And that's been a really nice kind of pace to release music.
Yeah, I would think you would get more people to listen to. I've always thought about that now because of how technology is, and people aren't going out and going to a physical store and buying your 10 or 12 song release. And I guess I've always looked at it as, with today's technology, the less that you put out at one time, you're going to have just as many people who are probably going to download and listen to that versus 12 songs. So why not just put out, like you're saying, put out a single here and there, or do an EP or a few songs? I just think you get more people listening, whether they're, purchasing it or they're just adding it to a playlist. Seems like
Totally.
People now are more cherry picking stuff out of 10 or 12 songs. But if you kind of slowly put that out there, they'll probably end up, if they like you, they'll probably end up checking out, listening to it, and sharing more of what you're actually doing.
Yeah, and you see it in the numbers too. Like the last couple albums we put out, you could just see, and maybe it's partly how we ordered the album, but you can see song 1, 2, 3 were really the most popular songs. There's the odd time there's like a hit further down the list where usually maybe a ballad that really connects with someone, but like song 7 or 8, and that can kind of come out of that mix. But you do see the top end of the album getting more plays. And so like your logic would suggest there, right? If you just release one song, it's the top end of the album every time.
Right. Now, does that
track one, baby?
Track one every time. Does that put any pressure on you guys? Like when you're going to hit the road to start playing live, to maybe make sure you have so many like in the can, or if you have some ideas to get them out there before you get on the road? Or is it still a nice luxury that you can even do that like while you're on the road, like get another release out?
Yeah, we've always written on the road, so it's never been, we're a fortunate band in the sense that there's never been writer's block. There's never been a period of time where we didn't have a whole bunch of creative ideas. There's on the Rise Up record, there's a ballad called Everything. And we wrote that song backstage while Disturbed was on stage. Like we were in our dressing room, just feeling the vibes of a great show, hearing this rumble of Disturbed playing still. And Greg's got his acoustic out and what about this, man? And I just started singing over top of it. And next thing you know, that was, we were rehearsing it every night before, trying to get it further and further as a song. And the other bands on the tour would stop by and be like, hey, what's that you guys are working on? It was like, what's that? I like that song. So we've always been writing on the road. We would even, stop in, if we had a little break in Chicago or something, we'd get a rehearsal space and try and get a few done. So we've never had a problem. I like writing wherever we are.
Well, that being said, what was like, now I'm trying to remember how many years ago this was. Because it's probably 5 years ago, maybe or so. When did Nevermore come out?
So we released that after, right after Rise Up. So I want to say 2015, 2017.
Yeah, so
something
it's
like
been a while. Geez, time flies, huh?
that. Rise Up was 2015, right? Because that was
those
with
songs that you had left over, or
okay, that's a great question. See, this is the old songs that were around. We ended up writing most of those songs, I want to say, in Nashville. There was a time where we spent in Nashville. We had just a creative week, and some of those songs made different records, and some of those songs are still coming out now. But there are times in your life where you just have these bursts of creativity, and they just you reach through, to some sort of other side, and got a bunch of songs that I often listen to. I love Aerosmith, and I often listen to old Aerosmith, and you can hear, actually, one of the greatest times I ever had in my life. Tavis and I stayed up for, I think, 36 hours playing heads up poker, just the two of us, listening to the entire Aerosmith catalog on repeat. And we just, we were in Cale's garage in Ontario. So there's no windows. So we just didn't know what time of day it was. And, classic, you open the door, it's like sunlight, it's melted. But you could hear on those older Aerosmith tracks, you could hear that doom, cat, doom, cat, doom. The Walk This Way, you could hear the riff, the drum beat. You could hear them working on it as the albums progressed. I can't really call out the songs right now, but you can hear that beat in different songs. You can hear them trying to mess around with that riff, and they still release those songs because those are great. Great time to make an album where pretty much everything you write probably goes on it, and then you can hear this hit come out of that. So that was kind of like when we were in Nashville that time. We had these ideas. Tear Down the Wall came out of that. The song we just released a couple of months ago, that's kind of been, out of all the songs we released on our own as a single, the song called Ready for a Good Time it's just become a hit for us. We just, we put it out and like, what's going on with this thing? It's going crazy. So that came out of the same session.
Song, that's why.
Yeah, exactly, right. And we have another song called Phoenix that's going to come out. We're going to work on that probably in the next couple months. That came from the same exact time. So, it's hard to know. I don't even remember your question now. I'm just rambling.
I don't remember what he's asked you either.
Well, I didn't know whether Nevermore was just like a handful of songs you wanted to hurry up and get out there, or whether they were left over from like albums that you didn't make it on the album, because personally, I think it's a small collection of some of your best work. I mean, it's a fantastic album, and if you're not playing Torn Down on every single show you play, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's one of your best songs.
Yeah, thanks, man. We worked with a guy named Mark Holman. He was coming up in Nashville, and we wrote all of those songs with him, I believe. And he produced all of those songs as well. So you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it, we kind of went with that album. We kind of called up Mark and said, hey, dude, these songs we've been working on together? I think we want to just put them out. They're really good. And he said, yeah, sure, go for it. So we did. And that definitely had the Mark Holman kind of vibe all over it. We love that he's a great guy to work. He's just a super, super nice guy and a super great producer and great musician in his own right. So that was the Tavis and Jonny and Mark kind of experiment, which was fun.
Awesome. So, so you got this new song coming out called Let's Go. It'll be out by the end of this week. And you mind if we preview a little bit for people? I know they've probably been seen on social media, but maybe our audience hasn't been exposed to it yet. So why don't we play like a little snippet of it for everybody, and then we can talk about it.
World premiere. Let's go.
World premiere. This is Art of Dying. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. wouldn't change a thing if I knew. All I want is up the mountain, and I bet my life on that truth. No time to celebrate, no time to slow down. We got this, come on, let's go, let's go. No time to celebrate, no time to slow.
So there you have it, a little teaser for Let's Go by Art of Dying. It's coming out March 10th. Live in front of your naked, steaming ears. This was the world premiere here. Anyways, as you notice, we're less one man. The Big M had to jump off there. He just couldn't take any more. He just was like, this is just too much awesomeness. I think I'm going to explode. So he had to just jump off there.
He took it too literally. He's like, let's go. I mean, I'm going now.
Well, yeah, he said, let's go. He thought it was time to go. Well, he knew we were going to be talking about your business as well, because I'd like to get into talking about your entrepreneurship with Jonny Hetherington Essentials. So that might be a good segue into that. What prompted this? It seemed like it came out of nowhere several years ago, and not something you see from many musicians or frontmen or something like that. So what spawned this whole thing?
Yeah, actually, I came home from tour, and my wife and I were thinking about starting a family, and that was it. We started to eat better and look at labels and read all the junk that's in the stuff we're eating, and just decided I have a cooking background myself. I just cooked my whole life through school, and there's my first jobs outside of high school and stuff. So we decided to make our own clean sauce. And we started with hot sauce because that's what I love. Then my daughter was born, and she's just nuts about ketchup. So we created some clean food ketchups for her. And then we launched a bunch of barbecue sauces. And we've just always been about, trying to give people a better option out there than what we've been used to. There's enough, high fructose corn syrup, and there's enough junk in what we eat. There's so much sickness, and I think people need to, look to what they're eating as a possible answer to, all the things that are plaguing us, just healthier future, probably going to start with food, right? So we're hoping that we're hoping people start to want to eat healthier. And then our other big thing with the whole lineup is just flavor. It's not, it's flavor first, right? So it's not healthy and shitty tasting. You know what I mean? We went for the full flavor, and it's tough to do. It's tough to pull off, great flavor and clean, and that's kind of what makes us unique. So yeah, we're out there doing it, and we're just having a lot of fun getting some healthier options out there.
Well, you obviously must be doing something right, because it didn't come and go. It's been around for a few years now, and I see that you guys are now offering part ownerships. Now you're selling off some stakes in the company. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was just the two of us for the longest time, and we grew the company to where we were really happy with it out here in BC, where we're from. So we're in a couple hundred grocery stores out here, and everything's going well. And we finally got to the point where let's grow this thing. Let's expand. You could probably throw up a link to our page, but we have a campaign basically. Yeah, you can just buy shares in the company as an investment, and whatever money you're putting in helps us expand to Eastern Canada. We've three big targets: Eastern Canada, so Ontario, Quebec, but the United States is our other big target that we're looking to expand to, and then also Amazon. So we partnered with some really strong, not to bore everyone with the grocery business, but we've partnered with some really strong brokers in each territory. So we've got a great broker in Canada, a broker in the Pacific Northwest that's connecting us to new accounts and distributors. And hopefully we'll just be able to have that clean option everywhere, So it's it's going to be an interesting few years. This is the first time we've opened up the company to investment, but it's originally was only open to Canadians, but we actually found a little workaround for US citizens. So if you want to invest in something like that, just reach out to me or to our front funder. There's a bunch of perks in there too, right? So there's the top tier perk is Art of Dying comes to your house and plays, and we have a party at your place, and
there you go,
all the way down to it starts at $250. So that's kind of the whole campaign. Something
for everybody. So yeah, we'll definitely put the link in the description down below. Make sure you click on that and check that out. What do you got in the works with that right now? What kind of new sauces are you working on? Or are you just working right now on trying to get out there what you've already got out there?
We're always coming up with new stuff because we love to cook. So we're always in the kitchen working on new things, and we have a bunch of ideas, but we're kind of we're not focusing on that right now. I'm on my way to Anaheim right here for there's a big food show down in Anaheim called Expo. I just got back from a big food show in Vegas, so it's like I'm on the food tour right now. It's just kind of fun.
You'll be on the Food Network soon.
It's good timing because I haven't been traveling with COVID, and now this is kind of forcing me to get back to traveling. So Toronto, Vegas, Anaheim, those are good towns to kind of go and spread the word.
Have you thought about Shark Tank or anything like that? Trying to get it on the Shark Tank?
I've thought about it. I haven't thought about it enough to actually go, reach out to anyone. But maybe someday. This is kind of our mini Shark Tank right now. This is probably a better time to get in.
Well, they'll tell you
there's just a really good upside.
They'll tell you the retail space is the hardest thing to get into, especially with something like this. However, what I notice on that show of things, of products and brands like this that tend to do well with their investments are ones that have great taste and are very healthy for you. So you're right in the wheelhouse of something that, Lori or whoever would be interested in probably investing in. So might not be too bad to look into that maybe in the near future. So
good idea, man.
Who knows? And so what's Art of Dying got next? You got any touring coming up?
We don't actually. The band's on tour with Adam Gontier right now, so they're out on the road with his new band called Saint Asonia. Now. And then they needed a sub for guitar on this tour, so Tavis jumped at the opportunity. So it's kind of I'm really so happy for the guys that they're on tour, but it's also kind of like, oh man, my whole band's on the road without me.
You're getting the itch, huh? Well,
it's
I'm
awesome.
pretty sure that. Go ahead.
Adam's he's such a good guy, and he's sang on a bunch of our songs, and we've written together, and he's just great guy. I lost my voice on a tour back when we were doing some of those big outdoor festivals, and I was doctor voice rest for a couple serious days, and Adam, stood up and sang for me at our shows. So it's kind of like that all over again. So it's pretty fun to have him around. Yeah. So I miss you boys.
Related to Cale?
They're out there playing. Yeah, they're both Gontiers. They're both from the same hometown. They're brothers. No, their dads are brothers and their moms are sisters. It's kind of a backwoods Ontario thing, but no.
Sounds like a West Virginia thing, but only in Canada.
The math, if you write it out, the math works, right? The math actually works out. But yeah, no, they've been close. They've been close their whole lives, and they have a similar thing. Just they both sing well. They're both great at anything they pick up and play. So yeah, awesome guys.
Right. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm looking forward to the new single coming out on March 10th. Let's go. Looking forward to any, if you did that in, what'd you say it was 10 days or something like that? If you put that together in a matter of a couple of weeks, and I can imagine what you guys are going to be doing throughout 2023 here. We'll probably get a few more releases from you guys, I'm sure, throughout the year. So
you bet we will. Yeah.
So, so it's great having you on the show here, Jonny. And, I also want people to definitely check out the links below. That's how you're going to follow Jonny. It's how you follow Art of Dying. That's how you'll get to the Jonny Hetherington Essentials and check out all the products. Hopefully you buy something, and hopefully maybe you even invest in the company. Who knows? Like he said, there's something for everybody. $250 on up. So, and maybe if you got a little extra cha-ching, you can get Art of Dying coming playing a private gig at your home. So that'd be really cool. So
Sounds like fun.
anyways, yeah, definitely. So John, I wish I was enjoying a cigar.
Sounds like something we'd like to do.
Yeah. One time, the Big M and I, we had a plan to do a big kind of a cigar round table on Blabber Brain show where we have all of our cigar smoking buddies just get on here and let's just start chatting. Never came together, but we still got to pull something like that together. So nothing better than rock and roll and cigars and BS and shooting the breeze, right? So
Totally, man. I'll hopefully you invite me for that one. I'd love to do it.
we'll definitely keep you on the list for that. I'd like to still pull something like that together. So anyways, for the Big M, who's no longer with us, but hopefully he's doing fine. Jonny Hetherington from Art of Dying, and I am Michael Kadrie. We will see you next time on Blabber Brain Show. See you.